I call the Honourable Member Alfred Nara. Kia ora ana, Mr.
Kia ora ana, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a budget that is back in black. Because, Mr. Speaker, if we were to say that the budget is in red, we know it's a budget that is in debt. And we know that the country looks that if it has a government in red and green, it will be a budget in debt, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I see my colleague over there, Mr. Chris Farfoy. And as I heard his speech about the budget, Mr. Speaker, he used interesting words. He used theatrical words. And I do realise that he did train in journalism, but I think what he didn't tell the House and the audience out there and the nation is that he actually got A+ for creative writing. That's right, Mr. Speaker, for creative writing. So these are the words that he used. He used disgraceful. He used these words that they were disgraceful. It was disgraceful, it was disgusting. What sort of budget was this? He went even further, Mr. Speaker. He decided to give an example of down in Mana, in his electorate, at a chemist, where he took his beloved leader, David Cunliffe, and he needs to do that because we know that it's been well known that the community does not know him. That's right, it was on the news. People said, who is David Cunliffe? So they're doing their job, so he's doing his job, he's winning brownie points, he's taking his leader out so that the community will know him. So he went out, he gave this theatrical story about the chemist and how he saw the prescriptions on the shelf waiting to be picked up. And he said how disgraceful that has happened. But Mr. Speaker, with his theatrical skills, with his creative writing, he told a wonderful story. But when you looked in the eyes of that member, you knew that he was not sincere. Why was he not sincere? I'll tell you why, Mr. Speaker. Because he knows if he read the budget, like everyone reads the budget, this is what we're doing for health. Free drop-in for sore throat clinics will expand the target for rheumatic fever to 90,000 children, Mr. Speaker. $90 million in the budget allocated to funding doctors' visits for under 13s, making them free. But, Mr. Speaker, that's our voice. How about we take it from the people out there in the community? Oh, and this has got to hurt because this is a little bit of evidence that says this. So this was an interview that was done on May the 16th by Martin Johnson. There was a child expert who's hailed the policy to extend free GP visits as restoring justice for children. Restoring justice for children. That was Diana Lennon, the Auckland University Professor of Population Health of Children and Youth. She expects the government's $30 million a year policy, a surprise announcement in the budget, will lead to better management of skin infections by removing the medical clinic cost barrier faced by many families. That's even the families down in Mana, that's even the families who would pick up a prescription at the chemist that Mr. Farfoy talked about. But let's go a bit further. Because why, Mr. Speaker? Because they like to bang the drum about poverty. They like to talk about South Auckland, which I'm not sure whether Mr. Hughes has actually been there. They like to talk about people sleeping in cars. But this is what's also coming from the Child Poverty Action Group, Dr. Nikki Turner. This is what she says. It's really important for families. It takes pressure off them about the cost of visiting their GP. It's important for the people who have to sit at home and wonder whether they should take their sick kids to the doctor or not. It's got to be part of a bigger picture. Mr. Speaker, we know that this budget is delivering for families, for those in need. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. There's all this talk about poverty. There's all this talk about the fact of children in need. But I want to say to those members, stop using the people and their circumstances to make you feel good, because that's what we're hearing out there. The communities out in Mangere, where I go, that's South Auckland, Mr. Hughes, okay? The South Auckland communities that I work with, they come and knock on my door, and they're faced with two things, either choice or circumstance. Mr. Speaker, this budget and the way that we are working as a government does this, Mr. Speaker. It's truth and love. In other words, here's the truth, here's the reality that we want to face, but it's not with a callousness or a carelessness, but instead it's with love, Mr. Speaker. We applaud this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Claire Curran.